Oh, dang it! Rookie mistake. Hold on. Let me start that over again, everybody. We're gonna stop. And I told you I don't edit. So here we go. This is literally the beginning of the show. So here we go. There's the theme music started right. That's what I get for trying to prepare and make sure everything is loaded right. This is why I tell everyone knows no editing. Everything happens. It happens. And hey, welcome to the Higher Ed AV podcast. My name is Joe A, and I am your host. And you know what? We're going to call that holiday break editing. This is, we're here. We're recording this on Friday, December 29th. 9:08 a.m. Pacific time, 12:08 p.m. Eastern time. You're listening to this on Tuesday, January 2nd, going back to campus, getting back for the new year. And we have an all-star lineup today. And we're going to talk New Year's resolutions. The theme for Higher Ed AV this month is kind of predictions. We have a couple of big things coming up. And that is the ISE is at the end of the month, and that really is to me the best conference for higher ed, because it actually happens at a time where everyone knows I love InfoComm. We all love InfoComm. Everyone loves InfoComm, but it does fall in the middle of summer, right? And where we've already halfway through our stuff, and so having something that falls at the end of January is a great way to see new products, plan, and see how that's going to impact us as we do our summer installs. So we have that. So also we want to look in the rearview mirror and go, okay, we are post InfoComm. Ryan Gray just joined, but we haven't introduced. I'm still doing my intro, and I've already messed it up. So you're no worries. The outtake is now the intake. And so, I need to save that. That's a good line. The outtake. Okay, a mental note. Caption that, put a marker on that. We're going to go around and we're going to introduce everybody. But again, we're going to look at this through the rear view mirror of we're a couple of years post-pandemic. We're now looking into the future. We're looking at, kind of what we expect out of higher education, how things have changed, how we service our customers, all of those things. And so in no order other than the one that they clicked the link to join the call, James, please welcome to the show. Introduce yourself and tell people who you are, what you do, and your number one New Year's resolution for yourself for 2024.
Sure. Thank you, Joe. So my name is James King. I am the Assistant Director of AV Services for the School of Medicine at UNLV. I'm also a board member for HEPMA, writer for a Higher Ed Digital Zine, IT and AV column, co-host of Ask the Programmer. Again, you Google me, you'll find me out there. I have to say, probably my one personal New Year's resolution this year is I'm going to start learning a different language. So I'm going to start with Spanish.
Oh, look at that. You know what? That comes in handy. Especially, living in Nevada now. Spanish is definitely something that will come in handy. So there you go. I like that. I like that a lot. Fun fact. What is Mr. Programmer? The most common programming language now? Most popular is English.
I want to say Python.
AI.
But
AI has taken over. English is the number one programming language now. How about that? Huh? I learned that at an AI conference. So it was definitely a biased comment. But nonetheless.
Wait until you get my January higher ed article.
Oh, on time too. Not coming January 31st.
Hopefully.
All right. We'll take it. Thank you, James. Let's continue around. The next one who clicked the link to come on, Britt Yenser, please welcome to the show. Tell people who you are, what you do, and your personal New Year's resolution for 2024.
Hello. So I am Britt Yenser, Director of Event Technology at Moravian University. I write for higheredav.com under the Somehow I Manage column and also host the Brave Space podcast. And I am the HEPMA Communications Chair. I think that's everything. And my New Year's resolution, this might seem kind of cheesy, but honestly, this year I just want to work on being content with my life.
Oh, content with your life. So, as an honored guest of the Brave Space podcast. We had a conversation when I was on there about, like imposter syndrome, the feeling like you're not doing enough. Then there's always more to do. It took you an hour and a half to list all of your things that you do, like communication, sharing, everything. So how does that then apply? Like, so being content, how do you draw that line between, hey, I need to do more and I want to perfect what I'm doing, yet going, all right, it's enough.
Yeah, I think that I'm going to set like reasonable goals for each month and recognize like what is it that I want to work on this month, because I think it's really easy to get bogged down if you look at a whole year or look at everything that you want to accomplish. So like I've already bullet journaled out like January, what is my focus? And I'm just focusing on like specific things at a time.
I like that. Yeah, I couldn't be that organized to do something like that. All right, I love it. All right, thank you for joining. And the next one who clicked the link to join, Teddy Murphy, please tell everyone who you are, what you do, and of course, your 2024 New Year's resolutions for your personal life.
I am Teddy Murphy. I'm the Academic Technology and AV Specialist for the University of Pikeville in Pikeville, Kentucky. And I would say that my personal would be spend more time with family. I've been very career focused for the past couple years, and I've missed out on a lot of things, a lot of big opportunities with my family. So I believe this year I would like to be more family focused.
See, that's good. That's good. I
Mhm.
see. I struggle with that one too. So, all right, what have you thought about one or two tangible things? It's easy to say that, and then the work request comes in, and then the such and such will come. How are you going to make that happen?
Okay, so as most of you know, on top of working at the university, I freelance a lot if I have weekends off, and I also own a stage company, a mobile stage. So I believe one area is going to be that I'm going to try to find better staff that we can train to be able to take our stages around, and I will pull back on my freelancing. That'll give me more opportunity to spend time with my family.
See, I like that. That's good. It is hard to step back, especially as you see things growing and you kind of get used to the money too. So, there's that bit. All right. Thank you, Teddy, for joining. And last to click the link until someone else clicks and joins the sixth box here, Mr. Ryan Gray. How you doing? Please, welcome to the show. Please tell people who you are, what you do, and your 2024 personal New Year's resolution.
Thank you, and good morning. So many of my favorite people in one place. I had to show up, and just to be the first listener to this show would have been good enough. To get called on is awesome. Good morning. My name's Ryan Gray. My day job, when it is not the 2 weeks of December and January that I don't have to be it, is Director of Technology Engagement and Strategy at Yavapai College in gorgeous Northern Arizona. I host the podcast, the AVIT Amplifier. Check it out. It continues to roll, and a 2-year at-large board member of HETMA. So all of those things are going good. And yeah, similar to other people, my New Year's resolution started this year as kind of I need to have better follow through on things, but I've kind of distilled that back a little bit into trying to be a little more careful about all the things that I say yes to, in order to make sure that the things I say yes to, I can really do and do well. Both initiatives at work, I'm in a place where I can front burner or back burner things and that sort of thing. And with Hetma and other things, like, when the opportunity to say, yes, we're going to put on a road show comes up, I'm like, this is a great idea. It's a yes, of course we're going to do it. And it is, and it's going great. But you can get to this place where you're like, there's so many things that I'm really excited about that really could make a difference going forward. And now I'm juggling enough of them that I'm not actually turning in great results on all of them. You know what I'm saying? So that's a hard thing for me that I'm going to try and pay attention to, making sure that the things that I do say yes to really do a good job of having follow through behind them, not just, it's a blessing to be overwhelmed with opportunities to do so many things that I care about. And it's a curse to not do a good job doing the things I care about by saying yes to too many of them. Make sense?
It absolutely does. And see, and there's a solution for that too. is you just get people used to mediocrity.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, if that's the result people are used to from you, then you don't have to worry about actually going all out and saying, because they're like, we didn't expect anything from him anyway.
I've had too many times where I'm apologizing. Oh, yes, I was going to follow through with that, and I hadn't gotten to it. I need more. I'm keeping up my end of the bargain, not apologizing to people on the other end, and that's about setting myself. It's not about working harder. That's the first thing. Is I just need to work harder. I just need to get more organized. I just need to. And the answer is I gotta do a better job of that. And it doesn't. And the flip side is, it doesn't mean some of these other things won't happen. It means I need to empower and really turn other people loose to do them and to be in charge of them and get the most of all worlds. So
no, that's good. And I think it's interesting because you and I probably have similar New Year's resolutions. And I introduced myself. I did not give mine because I went around to the guests. So mine is actually pretty similar, except that I already know that my New Year's resolution should just be to keep my New Year's resolution past the first week of January.
Exactly.
If I can do that, that would be a huge success. Because I have and people who know the behind the scenes, and I did a few podcast episodes ago that was actually influenced by Mr. Ryan Gray while I was coming out of SoFi Stadium, and I did a stream of consciousness of just where I have to step back and putting things in line for HETMA to move on beyond me, for this podcast to move on beyond me, right? And I talked about it for a long time. If people remember a few years ago, I started my day countdown to my retirement. That was supposed to have been July 23rd of this year. Okay, 2020. Well, not this year because you're now listening to this in January, but in 2023. So I am now on the flip side of it, right? I'm going the wrong way. So, but this year it's going to happen at Infocom. And I think that really is the goal. And you step away? No, but it's you become intentional. And I think that's my, almost, and going off almost what Britt was saying about being content, I want to be intentional, right? Like, not that I'm going to stop doing things, but the things that I want to do, I want to make sure bring value to the people that they're there for. And it can be personal value, it can be family value, it can be HETMA value, it can be UCLA value, but it has to be intentional when I'm doing it. Right. And I think that was called one of the things, I think, if we look at this through the lens of this podcast or the lens of HETMA, one of the things I think we've been blessed with is way too many opportunities. Most institutions or organizations are like, how can we get this thing going? And we're like, how do we slow this roll a little bit? Right. We get to a point where it's like, we have so many things, we can't do them well. Right. So how do we now do that and become intentional? So I think too, that really leads into, for me, kind of this New Year's resolution of, if we look at our vertical itself, we've gone through this major change over the last few years, right? I mean, can't say it, pandemic changed everything in higher education. Now we come out of it and we go, all right, well, what does that mean for us? How do we now take the fact that we learned we don't have to all be work and we can now be personal in our lives? The things that matter to us are okay to matter to us, but then we still have our customers, we still have our jobs to do and move that forward. So I'll do a rookie mistake on podcasting and throw this out to the group for anyone. And by the way, don't ever do that because then you get awkward silence, but I'm going to do it anyway. And I'll throw it out to the group. What then, in looking at this kind of in the bigger picture, how can you apply your personal resolution to then impacting your institution? How do we impact the greater good for education itself? And I will pause there and look at the empty stairs.
So I'll then. I think my personal, of course, my personal resolution to learn a different language, as you mentioned, Joe. Spanish is one of the more popular languages in Nevada here. So being able to communicate effectively with the members of the community will be beneficial, not just in my job, but actually for the school, especially the med school, because we do have practice plans where the community come in and get serve in the clinics and stuff. So being able to actually effectively communicate with members of the community is important. But I also want to talk about what Ryan and you were just talking about. And it kind of, I'm so early into the book, but it kind of talks about that in the book I'm reading called Turn the Ship Around. And it's talking about going from a leader follower to leaders leaders. And talk about in the Navy is a very top down approach. And this is a CEO of a nuclear submarine. And he actually got put in command of probably the worst sub in the fleet. And how he turned it around by using different ways of empowering the other officers and the enlisted men to actually do more things instead of doing the top down. Because in the past, it was in the Navy of when you're a CEO, all you care about is your tenure. Once you leave, you don't care what happens after that. That's the next CEO's problem. And he didn't like that. This offer, the CEO didn't like that approach. He wanted things to continue after he left.
Mm. Yeah, and I love that. I think the sense of continuing on, and especially when you have leadership, it's very easy. And I think this is true for all of our roles too, right? When on our staff, and as I'm going through now recruiting. So for those of you listening, in 9 days, I will have positions being posted at ucla.edu. But as you start doing it, it's really easy to take our teams too and go, this is your job. You are the person who does X, Y, Z. And we frame that and go, okay, I have this now machine of what I do. And sometimes we now have to sit there and go, the best thing for our org is to not pigeonhole them, right? Say, how can I grow them? How can I make sure they're not in that position in the next year? Because when we are this top down, this I'm the leader, this is my ship, well, that can be very well, you know what I'm trying to say, and not good for the overall growth of the people who you as a leader are called to lead, right? I love that. I love that. Anyone else? Working this. All right.
Go,
Ryan,
Britt,
The
go.
only thing I'll add. Oh, go ahead, Ryan.
Oh, yeah, go. Oh, no, this is a
I'm calling
for
Ryan. It's your turn.
All right, fine. So I piggybacking kind of on James and Joe, what you said, there's the thing that I try and talk about, and it's so hard to do in practice at my institution. And it goes to your original question of moving education forward. Is one of the lessons from the pandemic to me was the level of which people really don't know what we don't know, right? That you have to be we talk about it either being nimble or being flexible, but usually people want you to be flexible in the direction they've already decided they want change to go. And I think the answer has to be being flexible means being able to bend whichever way we need to in a way that we may not be able to predict very well. And so so our challenge is we talk about in terms of what questions are we trying to answer at what level. And so for us, a director level is somebody who should be dealing with questions of why, a manager level is questions of how, and then a line level, the questions of what. That is, if I'm a director and I'm saying what we should be doing, I'm focused on the wrong question. And turning my managers loose on how are we going to move forward in these areas? How are we going to work together? How are we going to put this vision into place? That's your job to do. It's not my job to do. If I'm doing that, we'll never be bigger than what one person can think of. And it's your job to turn your people loose on the what's, the day in and day out things, not for them to do what you've instructed them to do, but for you to give them the same areas of responsibility and have them report to you. Here's how that should happen. Here's what I'm doing to accomplish the how that you've laid forward. And it's a challenge because if you can put that in, and you can be able to move and you can give a lot of, what?
You're back. You're there.
Get back.
I might have just lost.
I'm cut out for a
Sorry.
moment.
Anyways, just trying to keep the right question at the right level and not overreach downward is I think it gives the ability then when people meet a challenge or there's a new idea to move a program forward or there's a new technology or there's something in there, people feel confident that they have the autonomy to move with it rather than, oh, that doesn't meet the instructions or the directions I've already been given. Therefore, my answer, you start giving out no's in places where you could be giving out yeses if people felt empowered to do that.
Oh, that is good. That is good
Very
stuff.
good.
You should have your own show. That is good. It's like, yeah, how do you lead a show when you have 3 other podcast hosts on your show?
Yeah, exactly.
Anyone can take over at any time. But that's good though, because I think as we start looking, and one thing that came to my mind as you were talking was like, I should probably ask my team and my boss, both the up and the down, their New Year's resolutions. What are your goals for this year? As it's stuck on ours, but it's so easy. Like, I know where I want to take my department. I know what I want to do. But is that in alignment with my boss? I mean, that's the easy one. You got to be in alignment with your boss, right? Or you're just. But is that actually in alignment with the people that I'm leading, right? And how they want to be, and how can I now, and that responsibility to guide their goals along with my goals, right? As the leader, obviously my goals are that's where we have to go. I know I have the directive from the university. I have the directive from the school to say, okay, we have to do X, Y, Z this year, blah, blah, blah. But they have their own things, right? We started this show with, what was your personal resolution? And all of us in some form basically said, I want to stop doing work. Right. I mean, in some form, that's really what our answer was, which is probably the same for our staff, right? And you don't want to hear that from the staff, but they have their own personal life. They have their own thing. So how can we bring them along in that journey?
Yeah. Rule of thumb, right? Managers make statements and leaders ask questions. And if in those conversations start with the question on that, you'll be better set up, but it's hard. Yeah. When you feel like there are expectations on me to accomplish, I'm here with a mandate, you know what I'm saying? But the idea that the actual best way to accomplish that mandate is to start with questions for the people on your team rather than giving them statements.
Well, one thing I would add to that too is like a really valuable skill as a leader is to get comfortable with silence and to allow people the space to think. Because oftentimes when you ask a big question like that, like what are your resolutions? What are your goals for this year? It's very possible some of your employees will say, I don't know. Right. And then you as the leader have to sit there and say, okay, let's think about it. And give them the space, and you have to be comfortable sitting there being like, I'm gonna give you the space right now. Like, I'm not gonna let you out of this conversation until you give me an answer, right? And you might have to sit in quiet for a spell there and be comfortable doing that.
That's actually a good idea, Britt. What I've been doing is when I get those or I'm not sure, I'll be like, well, you don't have to answer now. Have an answer by our next meeting. Yeah, and so they have a time frame.
I'll stop jumping in on these. I can do it. But when there's a question coming up for people in team, I don't remember where this came from in fiction, right? If you're going to reveal something big to your audience, they talk about the 3-step where it's sort of hinted at and then you get a little information and then bang, the thing happens, right? And if there's something I know we need to, I'm talking about the things I'm thinking of, I'm getting my people an idea. Then you sort of, okay, I think we should be thinking about this, prime the pump for it a little bit so that when that thing comes around, they might look back and go, oh yeah, actually, the things that we've been talking about in our meetings have actually been building towards the idea of processing this thing through to give people that opportunity, you know what I'm saying, to have been thinking about something in advance. Okay, I'll stop now.
Yeah, no, that's good. So it's interesting. So I'm going to jump back. Not that wasn't a good comment, but let's go back to Britt and what she was talking about. No, but it's interesting because when you said you can always tell. Like I make the jokes about the awkward silence. I do this during Hetman meetings. I do this right. Like I do it because here's the thing. Like, I just noticed that the private chat was going on the side. I had all my control. Look at that. All right. can I steal? You can steal. All right. Anyway, now I'm reading chats that came in 25 minutes ago. This is how not to do a show.
Don't do
But
that. Yeah.
Here's the thing about the awkward silence, and this is good. I think I need to learn that because see, I kept coming through live television and live events. You know that dead air is the worst thing you can have, and in fact, you can get fined for having dead air. It's not allowed on live television. It's only saved for the federal government. The FCC is the only ones allowed to use dead air. So if you go more than a couple of seconds, and there's a certain amount of time where there's no sound coming through, you can get fined. And so I've always thought that dead air is the worst thing. And so when I ask questions, and it's like no, okay, we gotta do something went wrong. Like you're taught that everything keeps going. There has to be movement in one direction. Right. And so it's interesting because it was taught to me early on as a technical skill that I have put into my personal thing of got to keep it going, got to keep it going, got to keep it going. And obviously, if you're recording a show like this, if it goes quiet for a few seconds, people are going to wonder what's going on. They're going to check their phone, wonder if it's things streaming okay. But when you put that into leadership, how often then does that control not do the right things for your people? Right, like there's the time and place thing. So, there was no question in that. So this is going to be silence.
That's okay. Just to reiterate, I think it's really powerful to be comfortable with quiet and comfortable with silence. And there are some people who need that. Like there are people who they need some time to process. And so, if you are uncomfortable with giving them that space and you just keep rolling, then it's possible that person will never really jump in. So just giving some space and quiet for that person who needs to process can be really powerful for both of you. And I will say too, I always prepare agendas in advance. Like my direct report has our agenda at least 24 hours in advance, if not more. So I'm never dropping a big bombshell, tell me about your goals. And he has no idea I'm going to ask him that, right? He's known for at least 24 hours that he's getting this question.
So that's and another trick I learned to kind of help, especially when you have your whole team together to get people to talk, is in the beginning of the meeting, have everyone stand up and jog in place for a minute, 30 seconds to a minute. I read that so that doing that helps flow the blood to the brain and spark conversations. So I've actually done that in a couple of my team meetings, and I get more participation from members of the group when doing that.
Sometimes I feel you have to know your team, though, because I know I have at least one member of my team that if I put them on the spot in silence, it's going to highly stress them out, and they might even actually get up and leave the room. So, you have to know your team and,
Yeah. Well, this is the hard thing about leadership. So, is knowing that you've got 50 different types of personalities, right? And you have to manage them along. But let's see if we can turn this back to New Year's resolution. Can we turn it into a managerial resolution and a team leader resolution? So let's get, to steal from, while we're stealing from Britt, let's steal from the end of her podcast and make some things that are actionable. So taking this conversation, let's go back around, and I'm going to do exactly what you just said not to do, Teddy, and I'm going to call on you. And I'm going to say now, hey, I'm the what not to do. I set the bar low, like I started with, so off of this conversation, what's one thing you're going to go back now and you're going to do for your team to improve your resolution so you're at a better place 1 year from now?
It sounds generic, but communication, I am really bad to not send out meeting agendas. So I definitely need to spend more time doing that. More one-on-one time with my team, getting to know my team members. And this goes back to what Joe and Ryan were saying. I'm really bad to say yes to everything that comes across my desk. I say no to certain things for events on campus, But if somebody comes in and it's like, oh, can you work on this for this classroom, or we'd like to have a design for this, or whatever, I say yes. And that takes my time and my focus away from focusing on what my team's doing and making sure that they are, they're interacting with each other, that they are, not complacent. So there's that.
Yeah, no, I like that. Yeah, and that meeting, say everyone, like, I'm the most disorganized person on earth. Somehow I don't know how I'm a high performer being so disorganized. Imagine what I could accomplish if I were organized. It would be amazing. And but I don't know, the meeting invite, that's something I have to do, is the agendas thing. So all right, Britt, same question to you. What are you going to do? Like, one change, one thing you're going to do to make all of this stuff happen?
Well, I am very much a proponent of, wait, am I frozen?
You're not frozen.
Okay. I'm very much a proponent of work-life integration. So, like, as I was journaling out, like, what do I want January to look like? What am I starting the year with? I had a goal of at least one, like, day where I do professional development each week of January. So, keeping an eye on the skills that I want to hone over the course of the year and keeping that, like, digestible and realistic for myself. And I really want to hone in on skills that are transferable and, like, kind of tried and true. Like project management, for example, is one of the goals that I'm focusing on this year. And one thing that I'm always thinking about in terms of, like, leading my team is Anton Chekhov said that if there are many remedies for a disease, you can almost guarantee there is no cure. And I think about that with leadership a lot, where it's like you could stack books about leadership from here to the other side of the world, right? And there's so many remedies that I don't think there's a cure. Like, I don't think that there's a true answer. So I just kind of continue to find things that speak to me. And, I could read a whole leadership book and just take one thing away from it, where it's like, that's the one piece that spoke to me that I'll start integrating in. So, I'll keep plugging away at it, but, like, I don't expect to be like, now I'm a great leader because I read so many books, whatever.
Yeah. Well, there's no cure now. Wow. Oh, all right, that's getting us thinking. James, same question to you. What is your take? Wow, that's good. That's good stuff. That's good stuff.
So there's a lot of takeaway from this. One, I want to comment kind of what Britt says. I agree. Anyone who knows me, who listen to Ryan's show, know I'm big in reading. I tend to read a lot of leadership books. But like Britt said, I don't take them for granted. Like, oh, this person, everything they say is gold, and that's what I'm following. There's actually books I've read the whole book and be like, there's nothing here I agree with at all. Not saying the book's bad, it just doesn't fit for me. And like you said, you have to know your team. So what may work for Britt's team may not work for my team, and vice versa. So that's what makes a leader, is you find what works and motivates your team. So there's things I'm gonna try to apply. Like, first off, I'm gonna try to apply that silence that Britt mentioned, because I don't like sitting in silence. I do a little bit, but not as much as I like. So I'm working on that. But I'm also, my biggest issue, and I know this, I've said this in my team, and I'm going to work hard on this, is I'm a type of person, I like to get stuff done. So I do it myself. I do delegate things off to people at times, but there's times where I'm doing things myself. I'm like, no, I should not be doing this. It was kind of like Ryan saying that the how, the why, and the where. I got to get it away from actually doing some of this stuff and let my team, do it, and get into the how, why.
Yeah. Oh, the do-it-yourself. That's a killer, especially in leadership, because it's harder. The most difficult thing is something that I have realized in time. I probably read it somewhere, but I just don't remember from who. So I'm going to take it to myself and own it. Is that it's a lot easier to do than to teach to do, right? And so because we always have this sense of wanting to make sure it goes right, and to bring your team up, you have to allow it to fail. right? And no matter how many cute, Instagram posts we put that failure is how you grow, and right, none of us really ever want to fail, right? And so it's one of those things that we go, okay, I have to do it. So to trust your team, to them invest in and allow them to fail, allow that to happen, takes a huge amount of trust, faith, whatever, and vulnerability in your own leadership. Because the end is, if it does go to hell, you're the one held accountable, which is why we always want to do it ourselves. It's easier to then, especially if we do it ourselves and it fails, then we just all know that we've already made up the excuses in our head that we can then tell our bosses as to why it failed. So, not that I've done that. Ryan, same question to you.
Yeah, putting things down in practical terms is always kind of a challenge, because you're like, well, I kind of know what I'm supposed to do, so I'm just gonna do it. And that is how, Joe, to your point, you end up with day 2 of the new year, it not being something that works. One of the things that I have decided for how I'm going to organize both kind of my time and things in this coming year is setting up a regimen of meetings and interactions with key people for me, my people. I've already had the thing of one-on-ones and departmental and that sort of thing, where the goal will be to cut down on meetings about one initiative, about one topic, about one project, because there's already an ongoing flow of communication with key people, so that when something comes up on project A, it's okay. We know we can add that to the agenda for the coming, leadership meeting of that group or this departmental meeting. And same thing with me. When something comes up, I'm like, oh, I gotta get in. I need to talk with somebody in HR about this. No, I have a regular meeting with our HR development person, and step up the frequency of my meetings with my vice president, so that there's fewer, oh, I need to get their attention for X, but I already know there's times and places for people's attention, so that to give that feeling both for our team, the people around me, and the full 360, that like when something comes up, we don't have to pause, because there's a natural way to work through what's coming without stop everything, get everyone's calendars, and set another meeting to take another hour to process through something that, does that make any sense? But really trying to look at that as a way of freeing my time and freeing my team's time up, so that it's not a meeting about this, a meeting about that, and we're stuck and beholden to that calendar invite to get something done. Rather, keep moving forward on the things that you are in charge of the how of, with the knowledge that I have an opportunity upcoming to get feedback on it, to ask questions about it, to put it past my colleagues, et cetera, and build out that so that it's enabled for people. Maybe that was all corporate speak, but that's kind of where my mind has been at.
A lot of corporate speak, but good corporate speak. And it's interesting, because one thing that you're good at, and I know this, is when you do the agenda, you do it off of a quiz in a way. You also don't time them very often. Like, you space your things very different. So you've spoken on this at NWNet, and recently it was on one of your podcast episodes. I think with Chris, he brought it up. Tell everyone really quickly your way, because I think it's a genius, and I should do it. I haven't tried it, but I should do it. Tell people how you do your meeting agenda. It's very unique.
Yeah, on those sorts of things. So the key with that is I try and take this seriously. It's why I want to get away from this style meeting, is to take, if I have, 5 people and we're taking an hour to do something, that is an investment of time, effort, and resources, right? That is an investment of time, resources. Are the things we're going to talk about in that meeting worth that investment of resources? And the key answer to that is yes, as long as the things we're talking about there are interactive and need live, live collaboration. Any part of that meeting that's not that, we need to handle in another way. It's my way of going, this meeting could have been an email. So one of the things I do when I lead up to these things, here's an example. For a presentation, and I've given this example before, but for a presentation for Infocom last year, you have 5 people who are going to be on a panel. They all work at different institutions. Everyone's got a hard calendar to get into, yada, yada, yada. So we're going to have a planning meeting. And my first thing was, the things that you would do at the top of one of those planning meetings that you know are coming, we're going to get out of the way at the beginning. You know, how do people want to be introduced? What do we think about X, Y, and Z? All of those things went out as a form, basically ahead of time, a poll. So the beginning of the meeting, everybody introduced, okay, here's what everybody thought. And of the 10 things that are on there, there was already consensus on 8. Done. We don't need to talk about those. People don't feel the need to have to justify. Those things are done. And now we can spend our time on the 4 things that we do need to hash through. And we have the possibility of getting 10 solidified items out of that meeting rather than going through the motions, only getting 4 and calling another meeting to get through the rest of it. Does that make sense? So
I love it.
It's a way of trying to say, but it still allows everybody input. If you just send an email that says we're going to do X, Y, and Z, you're not inviting input from everybody. But you can take 2 minutes of everyone's time, get a lot of input, and know the things that don't need to be discussed because there's already agreement on them.
You know, I love that. It's funny because as you were speaking too, I thought, what a perfect thing for an at-large 2-year person to maybe send out on the HEDMA thing to see if we actually run our general meetings well. Do people just want me to go around and call on random chairs? Or is there something we could better be doing in a different way to communicate that? So there we go.
Right.
Just throwing that out there randomly.
Just a random idea. Yes.
All right. So we started with our personal New Year's resolution. We went to a leadership resolution. Let's close the show. Last-ish question. And that's going to be our we are technologists. So your technology resolution for 2024 is, and I'm going to go ahead and Ryan, kick us off.
Okay. I'm going to lay this one out, and I don't know how to do it, but I'm going to figure out, which is I am going to figure out how to get AI, for me to be able to leverage AI in some way that I don't have to read email anymore.
Oh, you said AI. Take a drink.
Oh, yeah, no problem. Cheers. Once again, I am on their side. AI knows I'm a full supportive, and so that when Skynet goes live, I'm switching sides to the machines, and I am abandoning you all immediately. But there's a lot of inefficiency and a lot of email. And out of all the email, I am going to find or figure out the thing that is going to read my email for me, distill out the parts that I really need to know, and predictively respond in ways that it knows I would respond, because most email responses are coming in, they're going out, and what I'm actually processing on most of them is pretty rote, is pretty concrete level that I think there's help that could be had on that I can imagine this. I'm always behind on email. I never get to inbox 0. People are always waiting for something. And that's sort of like that thing that says, okay, here's your morning email digest. Here's a couple things I think that are interesting. Here's a couple of predictive responses. How do these look? Nope, that one's close. That one's good. No. Brah, there they go. And I don't become the thing that holds things up.
I love that. That's actually very similar to mine too, but I'll get to mine at the end. But what's interesting, I actually tried that. There's actually some good email response AI tools, and I had it do a few, like for basic stuff. You can try it, and the person guessed. They sent back and said, "Did you have AI write this?"
Yeah.
And I actually, and it didn't. And here's the thing. What was interesting is it actually wasn't a bad response. It was, yeah, go ahead and throw that on the calendar for XYZ. Like it was, because it was the response to, trying to get stuff. And I'm like, how did you know? And they said, because you always start every email with greetings and the person's name. That's my style is greetings, so-and-so, greetings. So, and that's my email. And so the fact that said, dear so-and-so, they're like, AI wrote it for you.
No, I need something that's feeding off of how I respond to build its responses. It needs to be my work that is feeding it, not general work. And I know it's there. I know either A, it exists, or B. So I'm on it.
Yep. I love it. All right. James, same question to you. What is your technology resolution for 2024?
This is a hard one. One, I have to say, I do want to learn more about AI. I've been to a couple of AI conferences, but right now, and I'm without going into much detail because I think I'm going to talk about it in my January article, is we don't have AI. We just have really, really good programming. And come at me if you want, but right now we don't have AI. We have really, really good programming. I'm also in the old school, and this is stuff I've been trying to get a little at more, is we don't always need technology to solve a human problem. So I'm trying to do that a little less, trying to use technology less to solve a human problem. I mean, sorry, I'm going to be a little frank here. Like Ryan's saying, that email, that's a huge problem, and you're trying to solve it with IT. You're trying to solve it with technology. One, not just on your response, but also on people who are writing you emails. They need to do a better job at, just getting to the details. So we have human problems and we're trying to solve them with technology. We're not doing a good job at it. So I think that's probably my technology thing, is use technology less to solve human problems.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. I like that. That was a good non-answer. All right. Teddy,
I should start a
same
show.
question. And you should. You know what? Teddy, your 2024 technology resolution.
Mine is the opposite of Ryan's. This past year, I became very dependent on AI to help me write emails. And I've used it for a lot of ideas as well. I bounced a lot of stuff off of AI and became a little dependent on it. And I believe I want to be less dependent on AI this year and try to be more personable in my emails because I'm not the most personable and friendly person.
Oh, good liar. You are too. All right. I'll say it's so funny. So you're splitting the difference between James and Ryan there. It's like, all right. I like it. And Britt, we'll close up with you on the last answer there until I give mine. And that is, what is your 2024 technology resolution?
I would like to learn how to program QSIS.
Oh, that's like a
Very
tangible one.
Yeah.
Wow. You just went like here's a skill. How dare you go back to old school and just actually want to have a skill? I mean,
Well, it goes back to the be content with my life, create tangible, realistic goals each month. So at some point over the course of 2024, I'm going to be like, this month, I'm going to poke around at QSIS and see what I can learn.
I like it.
So I'm going to follow up with you at the end of the month. And see where you're at.
Yeah, hey, and QSC's right here. Come on out, come spend a couple days. You can do a class right here. I love that. That's a good response there. And I guess my technology resolution, and it goes against all of my other resolutions that I was saying with getting out of things. I'm going to try to see if I can leverage AI. I want to see if I can leverage I'm going to in air quotes emerging technologies that do not exist yet. I'm going to see if I can load up a bunch of NDAs and have fun with things as my mic drop moment. Let's do this one more time. So my thing is how can we? And this is a big in my upcoming book that will be out soon. I do discuss the hyper-personalization of technology. So I really want to see if we can utilize personal devices, use our classrooms and our technology to make it one seamless experience. And I have no idea how to do that, what that means. And obviously utilizing our tools like AI and cloud resources and all of that to make it one seamless experience for our students. So I'm just going to have fun. I want to be a year of experimentation, which could fail miserably, or it could be pretty cool. I don't know. That's mine. So I love it. And then the last thing then is we need to know how to get a hold of everybody. So in the order people join the call, James, please tell people how they can get a hold of you, learn more about you, et cetera, et cetera.
Sure. One comment to yours. As Thomas Edison said, I didn't fail. I just found 58,000 ways it didn't work. But you can Google me. You'll find me. Again,
don't Google him, by
Twitter.
The way. It's a joke. Actually, Google him. It's hilarious.
right.
But nonetheless, go ahead.
Yeah. On X at AV_James King, on the HEPMA back channels. Again, you'll find me. I'm out there.
All right. And Britt, please tell people how they can get to connect with you.
Sure. So I am on LinkedIn as Britt Yenser. I am on Twitter as Brave Brit. I'm sure if you search Britt Yenser on Twitter, you'll find me too. And I am on the mighty HEPMA network.
Woot, woot. I love it. All right. And Teddy, how can people connect with you?
I'm on LinkedIn. Just search Teddy Murphy. And I am on the Hetma Mighty Network as well. I do not do Twitter. Maybe I should.
It's where the cool kids are. It's actually just where like 50 of us just talk to ourselves and act like we're cool kids.
Yeah.
It's great. You know, we're all our biggest fans. It makes us feel much more important than we really are. But you know what? It's my ego needs it, and my self-worth requires it. All right. No, all right. Teddy, thank you so much for joining. And Ryan, how can people connect with you?
Sure. Twitter at Ryan_A_Gray on Twitter. And same thing, search for me on LinkedIn. I'm on an endeavor to get linked to as many people as I can on there to really professional side know everything that's going on. So please connect and look forward to new conversations.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. And I'm putting across the bottom, we are going to be at ISE. You can get a free pass with, so if you listen to the episode with Mike Blackman, they're going to work on their code. So put in the code QBNFCBQ3, because it just rolls off the tongue, for a free show floor pass, or just, go to hireadav.com/ISE 2024. Link is there. All the content for ISE is there. So that is coming up in just the end of the month. So make sure you get that. Let me take that ticker off. And again, you can get a hold of me. You can find me at Josiah Way on all of the socials. Find Higher Ed AV at Higher Ed AV and higheradav.com on all of the socials. And of course, Hetma_org on all the socials, and Hetma.org. And of course, as always, our respected institution sponsors or other things. I usually have a third, and I don't know what the third is. I forgot. I got out of the habit of my show. But nonetheless, like always, if you didn't like these opinions, there may be better ones next time. This is where we pause, where I put the covers up and we all wait here. I even changed it and put their names on. See, they even have their names since the beginning of the show. That's like a pro move. So you got to make sure you go to watch this online, everybody. And there you go.